All right, let's get into it. Our guests today are part of a growing network of Minnesotans who are stepping up, organizing locally, and providing what grassroots democracy looks like in action. Rebecca Larson and Lisa Urbitz are leaders with Indivisible Twin Cities, a group which needs no introduction. They've been helping organize, mobilize, and put together so much of what we've seen from Minnesota these past few years. At a time when so many people are asking what they can do, groups like Indivisible are helping answer that question by turning energy into action. This is what people-powered organizing looks like. Neighbors talking to neighbors, communities showing up for each other, folks deciding that they're not going to sit this moment out. As I mentioned earlier to Lisa and Rebecca, anytime somebody is putting in the effort to organize a response to Donald Trump, I celebrate that work. I want to lift that work up, and that's the kind of work they've been doing to really make sure Minnesota's positioned to push back against this president as much as possible. As we've mentioned, on March 28th, this Saturday, that same energy is going to come together in a big way at the No Kings rally in St. Paul and at rallies across the country and throughout Minnesota. So I'm really excited to be joined live today by Rebecca and Lisa to talk about how this movement is building and how folks can get involved right now. Welcome to the DFL Daily. Thank you for your leadership. It's so great to be with you today.
Thanks for having us.
All right. So for those who don't know you both, briefly tell me what specifically drew you to this work, not as an org, but as human beings.
Yeah, I'm going to go first. What drew me to this work, and I think my story is actually quite common, is when Trump was elected the first time. I was so horrified and scared that I almost immediately jumped into action mode. I had not really been an activist. I always voted. I paid attention to what was happening in the news. I'm a progressive Democrat, but hadn't really taken steps to take action in any meaningful way. So that was it for me. That's what got me started on the path that I'm on now.
Awesome. How about you, Lisa?
Well, my story is very similar, but I'm going to go back a little bit further in time. I was appalled the minute I saw Donald Trump coming down that escalator, and that's when I started worrying. And when I would watch, news media like CNN literally give him like 30 minutes of uninterrupted time to just blather along. So I kind of knew then we were in trouble if this guy got elected. But I did have the same responses after that happened. I did the same thing. I was like, I can't just sit by. I have to start doing something other than voting and paying attention to the news. And I looked for a home to where I could volunteer. And Rebecca and I both kind of landed at Indivisible St. Paul around the same time, a little bit. And that then Indivisible St. Paul kind of grew into Indivisible Twin Cities, and here we are.
Absolutely. I think your narrative, your story, your experience really resonates with a lot of folks on the call and, living out in the real world right now. Folks are obviously activated. We've been talking about that. They're showing up and speaking up. What makes Indivisible different from an organization putting on a one-time rally?
Yeah, we never really stopped working. Even during as Lisa mentioned, we were Indivisible St. Paul for a while, then we became Indivisible Twin Cities. But even during the Biden years, we continued to do legislative advocacy. One of the main things we're about really is encouraging civic engagement. So whether that's voting or learning how to call your elected officials and pressure them to vote in the way that you want them to, that work, it could be education around how the state legislature functions. That work continues all along and throughout the year. And then we also work on elections during election season. So for us, protests like No Kings on Saturday, that's one tool, but that's not all of it. So it's one of the things that we do, but it's not by any means the only thing that we do.
Absolutely. Obviously, This week, you may know that the DFL's message memo said that the message this week is Minnesotans are the heroes, right? In this moment, Minnesotans have stepped up repeatedly, have developed that community, have understood how to organize at a very uh, grassroots level. And now St. Paul is the flagship for the No Kings events across the country on Saturday. What does it mean to you all as leaders here, to you that the Twin Cities, our state, are leading in this moment?
Ah, well, it's not exactly unexpected. I think because there was so much attention paid to what was happening during Operation Metro Surge, um, the media attention was unbelievable, really. And so for us, it feels well deserved given the situation, but also what we've been trying to do is make this about the individual people who actually did all this work on the ground. It wasn't Indivisible Twin Cities. It wasn't, one group over another or one elected official over another. It was actually the residents and the community rising up and organizing themselves in an amazing way. And I'm really glad that we are highlighting that through this event, um, with some of the, we call them hometown heroes, the people who were on the ground really doing the work. And so for us, that's what we want to see highlighted on Saturday. And so that's what we've been working towards as we've been planning the program.
That's great. Who's showing up to No Kings events this Saturday? Any type of person that you wouldn't expect? And what should first-time rally attendees know before they go?
The type is hard to say aside from I think it's a broad spectrum. And so we have consistently heard over the last year, like each time that we hold an event, we hear people say, "This is my first protest or rally ever." Or this is, I met a gentleman once who was in his late 70s who hadn't attended a protest since the Vietnam era. We hear that over and over and over, whether it's people coming to No Kings or people standing on their corner, protest with their signs and people honking. And so we're just starting to see, or we have been seeing that more people are joining the movement. And I think, it's a direct result of what's happening in our country. So whether it's the war in Iran or whether it's tariffs impacting the cost of everything, or all the subsidies that didn't get extended for ACA, there are so many things that are hitting people um, personally. And then I think for this one on Saturday, it's just this is a time for us to show up in solidarity. We've all had some experience with Operation Metro Surge in one way or another. And so we're hoping that this Saturday there will be some inspiration and just standing with your community members and showing the world really and what we are about and what we have been through over the last few months too.
Oh, well said. Yeah, I have a family friend who always avoided politics. They know what I do for a living, but anytime we're together, they would want to talk about sports. They'd want to talk about, kids, whatever. Never, ever talk about politics. Last time I saw them, they handed me a whistle, and I'm like, "What's this?" And
Wow.
he said, "Oh, I started using my 3D printer to make these whistles, and I just hand them out to people." And I was like, "Really?" And he just looked at me and goes, "Yep, I've been radicalized." He's very proud. And I just was like, and I know he'll be there on Saturday too. Talk to me about the importance of this people power in this moment. I mean, that's my own personal experience with a family friend who's decided to roll up their sleeves and get involved. What is this movement moving towards, and what does winning look like for us?
Well, I think, I don't want to repeat what Rebecca said, but I think we are just seeing so many people becoming politically engaged who were never engaged before, because it may have taken some people a little bit longer to be alarmed about what was happening. Um, and but that doesn't matter. It's like it's never too late to join this movement, just as long as you eventually join it. Uh, so I think the idea of what it takes to win is kind of hard to put your arms around. But for us, again, we look at this as an existential fight to save the democracy and the Constitution and the rule of law in the United States of America, and hopefully mend relationships around the world that are just being shredded on a daily basis. And so I think winning is going to take a long time. It starts with so we're in that movement now. We're going to have this big event on Saturday, and in that event we're also going to talk about what comes next, because that we have so many people now who are involved and paying attention. So the idea now is we have to give all those people something to do. And and that for the rest of this year really is about the elections and protecting our elections, making sure that we're ready for whatever Trump throws at us, because we all know he's going to try every dirty trick he can think of, so that we can make sure we have fair elections. Every vote is counted. Every candidate that wins is certified. And that's kind of the first step. Then we have to go into repair mode and trying to fix all the things that he has broken.
Well said. All right, let's make it super practical. Should people bring stadium chairs and lawn chairs on Saturday? Should they take transit? Should they drive themselves? Any advice you have for people attending?
They should take transit if they can. Arrive early if you can. Yes, you can bring a chair. That's totally fine. We advise people not to bring signs on sticks, because sometimes anything that can be perceived to be used as a weapon is not advisable. There will be crowds, so prepare for that. We are there will we always grapple with the question of what is the right number of porta potties to to get in our event. So hopefully this time we have plenty, and we also have a very beefed up sound system. So hopefully, regardless of where you are in the Capitol grounds, you'll be able to see and hear. But yeah, just be dressed for the weather. Wear comfortable shoes. Be prepared to stand, but of course, bring a chair if that works for you. And also, there is a website, nokingstwincities.org, that has all the FAQs. So if anybody has a question, there's a lot of really great information out there about the logistics and what to do to make it a positive experience for you.
Wonderful. And I see Tim dropped that website in the chat so people can check out that FAQ. Well, thank you, Lisa and Rebecca, for all of your amazing work. Really appreciate what you're doing to help Minnesotans stand up and do this people power organizing. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Huge thanks again to Rebecca and Lisa for joining us today. What stands out in conversations like this is how much power already exists in our communities. All we have to do is tap into it. The energy out there is enormous. We've seen what power looks like. Tens of thousands of people peacefully protesting, tens of thousands more stepping up to be trained as constitutional observers. And we're going to see it again this Saturday, March 28th.